So we have our next speaker is Marcus Zwicker, is the Chief Operating Officer at the mill for Freeman Lumber. And I'll pass it over to you, Marcus.
Yeah, I do, yeah. I'll just start with the slideshow.
Alright, do his thing.
There you go. So you just hit that, right?
Thank you very much, everybody. I'm used to talking pretty loud and fast, is why they put me in front of lunch for you guys. So I only get so much time. Thanks for having me. I don't know very many faces in terms of the Woodlot owner group, so I don't get to spend a lot of time with Woodlot owners these days. But they're very critical to our business, is what I'll say. And I got asked to put together a video from start to finish of our sawmill. But I'm going to take a little bit of time and talk, so I like to hear myself, before I actually show you the video of the mill. So what you're seeing here is I work at a facility that's been around for almost 200 years. All right, so there's been a sawmill in Greenfield with a Freeman name attached to it since 1832, and these are some of the iterations of the mill, including one that washed down the river, one that burned to the ground, and now we're currently at one where now we're tearing apart 40-year-old components and building new ones. We've just gone through a 5-year modernization. So I'll show you a little bit of what that looks like. All right, I said it earlier, but today we're 100% family owned, been around almost 200 years. Our business has changed a little bit in the last few years due to some changing market conditions. We used to be between 80 and 90% any given year spruce fir dimensional lumber, so a 2x4 stud or a piece of decking. Last year that was down to 75% of our overall production. We've really started to shift the business for a bunch of reasons, but we're 15% red and white pine. And then we've recently, this last year, we've really put a big focus in our business. You guys heard a lot about the hemlock woolly elegant. And we recognize that it's a significant part of our forest, and we work with a lot of landowners that got a significant problem on their hands, including the Freemans themselves. So we did last year, we actually 10% of our production was a combination of poplar, hemlock, and tamarack for a variety of different treater products, pallets, a whole bunch of different stuff. So you can actually buy hemlock decking now in a lot of the eastern part of Canada thanks to us sawing hemlock. So we have 3 log lines. The oldest one is about 20 years old. When it was first installed, it's undergone a bunch of significant upgrades. We have a small stud line that processes logs under 7 inches and down to 7 feet. Primarily makes 2x4, 2x3. You'll see a video of that. And then we have one large saw line, which is a carriage. Most of you guys, if you've been in a mill, that technology's been around for a while. Except we've added some components to it to make it do a better job. So we have an optimizer on it, which means that it scans the log when it comes in now, and it actually determines what we're going to make out of the product versus having the sawyer make that decision, which has really improved the process and helped us achieve some value. And then we have a random length log line that basically processes logs 10 to 16 feet from 6 inches all the way to 18 inches. All right, and we process red pine, white pine, spruce, fir, tamarack, and poplar, and hemlock on that one single log line. So we've added a lot of technology that in the last 2 years it's allowed us to do that seamlessly. I talked about that, what you see there, and you'll see in the video, is just a view from the operator cab of our random length log line. And one thing that's really helped us do that is we have vision technology everywhere in the site. We have vision scanners that's actually able to say, as the log goes by, not only does it grade it, but it says, okay, this one's a white pine, this one's a red pine, this one's a spruce, this one's a fir, and we have enough sorting capacity in the mill now that we can run them at the same time and sort the individual species without having to completely change the mill from the log decks to the sorting line over to another product. That's what it looks like now. I talked a lot about the modernization, I guess. We've upgraded all the optimization gear from front to back, planer mill, sawmill. We've added sorting capacity in both the planer mill and the random length sawmill to deal with that. We just started up the 1st of December, you'll see a video of it, a complete new planer line. So we used to run 2 different lines, and anything over 10 feet got piled by hand. So we had people out on on a green chain, hauling lumber. Now we don't do that anymore. So anything from a 4x4 down to a 1x3 now gets piled in a bin sorter and graded and stacked and wrapped with automated technology. Again, right behind us, one of our challenges always as you add sawing more species like white pine, red pine, hemlock that take a lot longer to dry than spruce. You got to somehow come up with the energy and the drying capacity to get the moisture out of it. So if you're to look across the lake over here, one of our projects, we built 2 new kilns on site, and we've also did $1 million reno to the former Douglas kilns right behind us here. We dry all our 5/4 pine and some 1-inch, but mostly 5/4 pine at this facility out here. So we truck it out, dry it, and bring it back and dress it at our facility. We also buy one of our local partner sawmills, his pine as well, and we dry it out here and bring it to our facility to dress. We buy a rough green, trucked here and unloaded. So that was another investment. We just commissioned it, I think, last March. So about a year ago today. So we dry about 6 million feet of lumber out here last year. We're in here to talk about forests, and in the last 3 years we've actually done either silviculture, harvesting, or road construction work on 800 different landowners. So it's a big part of our world. Over 80% of our fiber supply for the mill comes from small private woodlot owners, which is it's a big number. It takes a lot of work, and it's much appreciated for the job you guys and gals do managing your forest. Some of it we buy at the gate, so the landowner, the producer delivers the wood. Majority of it is wood that we would, or work we would actually go and do and pay the landowner for the wood that we call it stumpage. All right? And that was just a picture I took this week. One of the things we're adding to our repertoire now is we just passed our first third-party forest management certification audit at the mill and chain of custody, and that we're actually on one of our partner woodlot owners, Woodlot's just outside of Bridgewater, and we now have woodlot owners that are falling underneath our forest management certification, and we were just doing the audit on his woodlot this week, so that was pretty good news. On Thursday night we spent the last year working towards it, but we have customers on the other end that want to see, that need that certified forest product, so we had to step up to the plate and go make it happen. And so what's next for us? And a lot of it is about partnerships, all right? We live in a small, western end of Nova Scotia is a small world, and we've got a very diverse forest, and we can't do it all. So we have a lot of partnerships, both with loggers, we got the people that do the work in the forest, man or woman, whether they're swinging a space and saw, running a harvester, driving a log truck, digging dirt. They're not just somebody, they're a partner for us, and we need them to be successful for us to be successful. All right? The other thing we have here is new markets for material. We talked earlier about residuals, and where's Sean at? He looks for ideas, and I got 2 of them here, and they won't cost you any money. One's wood heat, and another one's a pulp mill, and it'll fix your problem. You don't have to spend any government money. All right? And that's what I did for Minister Maslin back there. She's in charge of infrastructure. So if you want to talk to her about putting in more wood heat facilities, she's the gal that approves them. She's not going to talk to me after lunch for saying that. But so we got a lot of local wood manufacturing facilities that we work with every day. You guys are well aware of the Lewis molding fire. So when he rebuilt, he wasn't able to build the front end of his mill back, the sawmill, kiln drying portion of that. We started buying his small diameter studs and logs, and we actually did a major reno on our small log line, which allows us to process pine stud wood, basically, and make the product that he now needs for his facility. So we buy the logs, we process them, we convert our stud line, so our spruce stud line, we convert it once a month over for 5 shifts. We saw pine studs, sort them, bring them out here, dry them, bring them back to the mill, dress them, and then we sell them to him for his molding business so that he was able to keep operating. So those are the types of partnerships we build. Jay and Turner, Jackie's and Wade's Mills in Lunenburg County. We buy logs, we do all kinds of different stuff with those guys. Mayback, we sell a significant amount of hardwood to that facility down there. It's a great success story for this province. Takes the lowest value hardwood product in Nova Scotia and basically turns into 200 very well-paying jobs and a really great product that's shipped all over the world. So I know not many people know about it, but it's a critical part of the forest infrastructure here in Western Nova Scotia. AF Terrio, a hardwood sawlog mill in Digby County, same thing. We actually work on their lands for them. We trade them logs, we sell lumber, all kinds of stuff there. And then Millet Lumber. I don't know if you know Kyle and Charlene Millet in Chester Basin. Their mill burnt 2 years ago, and we had a really strong partnership with those folks as well. And as well, the biggest things we're working on is we need facilities to locate, back, Rod talked about it earlier, that are going to use the parts of the forest we can't. We think we've done a pretty good job of taking everything from basically 4 inches and up in every species that our forest provides, except for hardwood saw logs, which we've got other people that use it, and try to make as much lumber out of it as possible. But it's from the 4 inches and down, and the rotten fir and the parts of the poplar tree that we can't make a sticker out of that we really struggle with. as well as, 250,000 tons of sawmill residuals every year that, I was telling Rod earlier, right now we're burning 800 liters of diesel fuel trucking bark all the way to Port Hawkesbury, which in my world just doesn't make any sense, but that's what we're doing. So along with that, green energy. There's 2 significant wind farms that we're working on hard here in Western Nova Scotia, because the people that want to come work with that green, or set up facilities at green energy park, they don't want energy from coal-fired power plants. 5 minutes there. I'm not going to get to my videos. I will. But they want green renewable energy. So we have 2 significant wind farms we're working on right now. Actually, one of them, we actually have all the pads cleared. Most of the lease is done, and we're drilling the rigs. And when it's built, it will be the largest in the province. And then we have another one, 21 big turbines behind, located in Greenfield, that we're in the process of planning. But we need the facilities that want to come here and produce products that the world is going to buy with a green label on. They don't want coal-fired energy. Right? That's just plain and simple. And it's going to come a point in time where the people outside, but also they know the energy coming from it is coming from a renewable source as well. That's my presentation. I got a few videos here. I got them shortened up last night. So, Caitlin, I think the first one we'll put up is the stud mill. See, I talk fast. I told you. So we got some just, sorry, Stephen, I wasn't able to condense it in one, but we just got some video here. Just the volume, you got the volume off?
Yeah, I got the volume.
So this is our small log line. So it's a stud line. There's, thousands of these located in North America. They basically process your stud wood that we buy into 1x3, 2x3, 2x4, and a little bit of 2x6. We try and keep the log size in this line down under 7 inches. And what you see there's a gentleman, we have 2 debarkers, 2 single ring debarkers. They process about 13,000 logs in 8.5 hours roughly. Most days we sort them based on sawing pattern. So like a sawing pattern, we pick a log and it would make 2 2x4, 1 2x3 and 1x3, up to 3 2x6, which we don't want to put a lot of those logs in. And then they just get basically fed through a single pass line, which means we have chipping heads and vertical saws. So the saw arbor isn't sideways. You don't saw this way, you saw vertically. So the saws spin this way, and it comes out as lumber on the other end, which goes directly into a sorting line. So there's not very much re-edging. There's really nothing. It's a very simple piece of equipment, and it basically makes lumber out of. I'm actually running 4x4 in the video out of it. So that's the. It's a pretty simple line. It was first put in I think in 2003. Harvey could probably tell me in that neighborhood. It's almost 20 years old. We've done significant improvements to get the speed and the recovery of the machine up though since then. Mostly optimization, electrical controls instead of hydraulic. All right. And this is a bin sorter, fairly easy technology. Goes along and basically gets kicked into a bin based on the length, dimension, and grade, and then gets stacked with stickers for kilns. And that's just a stacking process there. And I'll get the sawmill one up next. So this is the part of the mill we've really spent a lot of time at here in the last little bit. So everything you see here in blue is new. We used to have 1 log decking feed, 1 debarker feeding straight into a saw line. Now we run 2 debarkers, one that'll process logs basically up to 18 inches and 1 to 28. That feed the logs in, single ring debarkers again, and we now have a long sorting. So we never used to sort our random length logs by diameter before. And now we do. So we have 6 sorting bins. So if a pattern would be a 4-inch pattern or a 6-inch pattern or an 8-inch pattern, the logs actually get sorted and picked in. And then this is that's the quarterback of the mill. He's looking and monitoring everything, making sure the main head rig is processing. We position each log so we don't batch on this line. The previous line we batch the logs. So we set the mill up for 2 2x4 and all the logs go along at that one set. These are actually processed. Every log is scanned individually and manipulated and sawn as a separate product every time to maximize the amount of lumber out of every log. So this is feeding a board edger. So we talked earlier about vision. You see the edge expert that's been in the mill about a year. We have 3 of them now that actually takes a picture of the piece of lumber. And then everywhere else it goes in the facility, it knows that same piece of lumber. All right, so when it gets a solution there, it also at the trimmer, and then further down the process, it knows that was that board. Each one has based on the picture of the piece, and it says this is supposed to make these 2 pieces of lumber, or this 1 piece of lumber, or this grade, which is a significant benefit for us. So then we get sorted again. It's a similar technology, but we now have over 100 sorts in the mill at any given one time, based on species, grade, and dimension. Comes out of the mill, and this is just one of the new dry kilns we built in the last few years. That was a huge bottleneck for the site, and still is today. In the winter time, we really were only able to dry about 2/3 of our production. All right, we're limited with the amount of energy we make on site, steam, basically. So usually, to put it in perspective, spruce lumber averages about 45 hours. Takes to dry spruce lumber in a dry kiln. Fir averages, last year we were 68 hours on fir. White pine was 145. Red pine was 120. Hemlock was 80, and 5/4 white pine, which is the thick stuff that Jamie and some other molding companies, right now that's taking about 330 hours of drying a dry kiln. So we're talking 2 weeks. Put it in perspective. So it takes a lot of energy to get all that water out of the wood. All right. The last one here. So we have 2 different processing facilities at the site. One that processes spruce fir. The other one processes white pine. So that's after it's dry. This is the front end of the new mill we built last year. This is the tilt hoist. One of our bottlenecks, because we wanted to do volume, was that we used to only bring 1 bundle of lumber at a time to the infeed. Now we get a long enough infeed chain, we can carry 10 bundles of lumber, and we actually lift 2 at a time. All right. That's feeding the stacking facility at the back end of the plant. But that's the mill. That's our new, the same thing. Grade expert. That's seeing doing all visual scanning for grade. And we dress there anything from 2x3 5-foot all the way up to a 2x12 16, and 4x4 16, right? 1x4, 1x6. So it was a bit of a challenge technology-wise because the manufacturers we work with never designed something that did that breadth of product. Like it was either stud plants or random length plants. But to say we're going to introduce a piece of 5/4 by 4 by 12 decking or a 4x4 16, and we want to cut it in 2 at 170 pieces a minute. It's because most of our timbers all get sold as 8-foot or 10-foot timbers, which means you enter the plant at 16, and you got to grade it and then cut the piece in 2 and put it back in a lug to put it in a bin. There was some major technological hurdles we had to overcome to do that, but so far so good. And what you're seeing here is in our pine value added plant, we dress the lumber, we call it S4S, square 4 sides, and a lot of it gets redressed into a molding product. So wainscoting, groove and tongue, V-joints. So some of the pine actually gets processed, a lot of it gets processed twice now. So it gets graded and pulled off on a line as a 1-inch product, like a 1x4 or a 1x8, and then we turn around and we add a molding, we call it a pattern. We have 12 different patterns that we use, that whatever the customer wants, and we redress it with that pattern on it, would then go to a box store or to a hardware store. All right, so that's sort of the mill video.
Great, thank you.
Sorry if I got too detailed.
No.